Remember, the guy is, well, let's take a look at his judicial philosophy just a little bit. He put it forward as Trump made the appointment. He put it forward in a very succinct statement. This is cut number 2.
My judicial philosophy is straightforward. A judge must be independent and must interpret the law, not make the law. A judge must interpret statutes as written, and a judge must interpret the Constitution as written, informed by history and tradition and precedent. For the past 11 years, I've taught hundreds of students, primarily at Harvard Law School. I teach that the Constitution's separation of powers protects individual liberty.
This thing about separation of powers, very, very important, okay, because it means that he will defer to the executive and he will defer to the legislature. And you have to remember this about Obamacare. We conservatives hated Obamacare, and we thought it was unconstitutional to fine people for not doing something. I think that is definitely an unconstitutional thing to do. But also, when you respect the separation of powers, Barack Obama and his legislature were duly elected, legally elected. They passed the law. The Supreme Court, you want the Supreme Court to be very slow to say, no, we're going to decide what the law is. You don't want them doing that. And that is one of the things that makes these guys more modest, more restrained than people who are strict originalists like Clarence Thomas, who just say, no, that's against the Constitution. You're out of here. So he is going to be a little bit more restrained on that. But I don't think the question is whether his philosophy of restraint, he's trying to protect what they call the sovereign. In England, the sovereign is the king or the queen, right? And then her power goes down through the parliament. Here, the sovereign is the people, but the sovereign are represented in government. They're not allowed to touch the controls of the government. So the sovereign picks the people to represent them, then the representatives put forward. And what he's saying is the separation of power means the judiciary, and Matthew Peterson is going to come on and talk about this and explain why this is so important. And what the judge is saying, he doesn't want to get in the way of the separation of powers. I think he's going to be more conservative than we fear. It's always true that the danger is always from the left. They always say the left always gets their judges right. Simple reason for that. The left, all the temptations of power move you to the left. Anybody who falls prey to the temptation of power and uses his power will be essentially on the left, right? Because that's what leftism is. It's the state. It's statism. It's the state dictating what you do. So it's harder to find a guy who says, yes, I'm going to make decisions that limit my power. I'm going to make decisions that limit the power of the judiciary. That's hard to do. But if this guy comes through and he is more conservative, I think it's very doubtful to me that Roe v. Wade will be overturned. If Roe v. Wade is overturned, it's not going to stop people from getting abortions. You can get abortions over the counter at this point. Abortions are not going to go away. But I think it would be great, not just for us, but for the left. Repealing Roe v. Wade would increase and strengthen federalism, the rights of the states to make their own laws about important issues. That means that you have to go to the state, meet the people in the state, convince the people in the state that you are right, and get them to elect representatives who will vote what you want. That would be really good for the left. It would get them out of New York. It would get them out of LA. It would help them meet the people in the rest of this country, understand who they are, understand who they're talking about, and if they really still hate them, then they can leave, which would be great for everybody.